I've just been informed by a reliable source that this is heaven, and we've all made it. Live from the KJLL studios, here is your host, Jake Feinberg.
Welcome, everybody, to a special edition of the Jake Feinberg Show. Again, we have, in memory of Gil Scott Heron, who left us last week, all too suddenly. It's great to keep playing his music, keep his spirit alive. I'm joined today by Brooklyn-born, Brooklyn-raised, still in Brooklyn, unbelievable guitar player, jazz, bossa, world. He can play all different styles, and one of the more understated and classier guys. I know this not because I'm best friends with Al Gafa. I know this because of the guys that he played with, and those guys were full of love. And I know Al Gaff is full of love, too. Al, welcome to the program.
Hey, thanks, Jay.
So, Al, I wanted to just talk to you. What year were you born?
1941.
And your parents, where did they immigrate from?
My mother was born here in New York, and my father came from the island of Malta. It's in the Mediterranean.
Do you know exactly? I don't even know where that is, and I'm a history.
It's a little south of Sicily.
Okay, so it's you consider him Italian?
Well, we do consider ourselves Italian, but the country is called Malta, and the people there are called Maltese. It's an independent country.
And your parents met, and what was your father doing for a living at that time?
He was working in Manhattan. I think he was a cook in a restaurant. And my mother used to work in the area, and she used to go in there, and that's how they met. And what kind of neighborhood? I mean, what kind of sounds? What I'm getting at here is what I'm trying to figure out is your earliest exposure to the first type of music that you heard. My dad used to like to listen to country and western music, and so it was on the radio every once in a while at the house, of course, there's a lot of guitars in that music. And one day I made a remark that I said, "Hey, Blue, would be nice to play the guitar." And I think on my next birthday, my mother got me a used guitar for $10. It was a Harmony guitar.
And at that time, did you have brothers? Were you? Here's my question. Aside from the radio, how did you hone your sound? It was just naturally you were just searching for your own sound. There was nobody you were comping. Is that fair?
Yeah, that's really true. I mean, when I first picked up the guitar, I didn't know anything about it. I just started playing and tried to make some music out of it, and I knew what the guitar sounded like, and I thought I knew what I would like my playing of the guitar to sound like, and it was just very natural wood sound, not altered with an amplifier, but just the true wood really felt good in my hands, and that's the kind of sound that I always liked to get. And my earliest influence on the guitar was Johnny Smith. I don't know. To be very honest with you, I'm not sure how I found him, but I loved the kind of sound that he got. I loved the kind of voicings that he played, and his technique sounded really it was impeccable. And I began listening to him and trying to copy some of the things that he did. I couldn't do them all because it was at the beginning of my playing. I didn't have the technique, but I knew that was the way to go. I had to get some technique together, and I began studying mostly on my own. I took lessons for a while, but they really did not develop me. I'm pretty much
yeah, Al, you definitely are your own. You were on your own mission from day one, I think.
Uh-huh.
But I mean, the truth is that you're growing up in a was it a very Italian neighborhood in Brooklyn?
It was 50% Italian, 50% Jewish. And music was not
priority.
Yeah, it was not even there. I just happened to have a guitar, and I played the guitar, and that's really where it came from.
And how good was your accessibility once you got to an age where you could travel by yourself and go check out What kind of music would you go to, and where would you go see it?
Well, since I was so heavily influenced by Johnny Smith, he was a guy that I went to see a very few times, and that was at Birdland in Manhattan. It was a subway ride away from the house, and I never said to myself, I'm going to become a musician. It was a hobby of mine. I played the guitar. I liked the way this guy played the guitar. I tried to get a kind of sound that I felt comfortable. That was fun. Everything was fun about my life. I'd never said I'm going to become a musician and then put hours upon hours upon hours of work. I never did that. I did put the work in, but it was because I loved it, not because I was trying to become a musician. It was because I really loved playing the guitar.
And you would have done anything. You would have worked in any type of capacity in order just to support that love. Your intention was not to make a career out of it.
That's correct. And what happened is that I got a job, and from that job I got another job, and from that job I got another job, and it just kept on going and going and going. So it.
What was your first gig?
I'm still in the hobby. I play the guitar, and it was a hobby of mine. I was in the Navy. I was stationed out in Pearl Harbor, and there was a jazz club. They used to let guys come in and sit in every once in a while, and I used to go sit in there. It was on a Sunday evening, and I played one up tempo tune and one ballad, and the people that came into that club came in to listen to the music, and you could hear a pin drop when anybody was playing a ballad, and it was just fantastic. So somebody got my name. The guitar player that was working there got called for a job, and it meant traveling back to the United States because this is from Hawaii.
Right.
And he didn't want to go. He was married. He had family, and he didn't want to leave. So he told these people to call me, and they did. And I worked 6 weeks in Hawaii with them, and then they flew back to the States, and they asked me to go along with them, and I came back to the States. Yeah. So my first job was working with two singers. The woman's name was Lillian Randolph, and
I just want to go back for 1 second here.
Go ahead.
Excuse me. Who was the conduit or the middle person between saying to him, "Hey, you need to contact Al Gafa"? Like who formed that bridge? Because that was a huge key to it there.
I can picture the guy's face, but I cannot remember his name.
Right, but it's sort of like in some way, that's a huge tie there. There's just those unsung heroes that kind of creep up saying, "Oh, you should call Al Gafa," and boom.
Yeah. I always got along very well with people. So this was a kind of thing that just you can't make a job, so you recommend somebody that can do the job. I don't care what the job is. If you're fixing a roof and you can't fix the roof today, maybe your friend could do it. So
right.
And that's what happened there.
Right.
He couldn't do the job, so he recommended me, and that's where it went.
So you're on the stand with two women singers. Take it from there.
Yeah, we toured. There's a bunch of things that happened even before that, but let's go from that spot. We were she had a bunch of work in Sacramento and Los Angeles, and I came back, and in between the working Sacramento and Los Angeles, there was about 3 weeks of downtime. So here I am from New York. I'm living in California in a YMCA. Wait, yeah, you're laughing, but it wasn't so funny.
No. I'm laughing because I dig it. I dig it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So when I didn't have any money. I was not on a retainer. I got like 3 or 4 weeks in Los Angeles with no money, and staying at the cheapest possible place I could stay at the YMCA, and eating cookies and milk two meals a day. And I said, if this is what the music business is, yeah. I'm just not going to be in it. I don't want to do this. But fortunately, it wasn't that. Some work came in. They went to Tucson, and I went with them, and I played Phoenix, and it just went on and on until I found that I wanted to get back to New York, because when I was in high school in New York, I auditioned with a record for a record company. It was a 3 or 4 guys, a doo-wop group in the early '60s. It had to be like maybe 1960, 61. They auditioned for this record company, and the guys from the record company asked me if I'd like to do recording sessions. You know what? At that time, recording sessions were paying, I think, either $5 or $7 an hour. Now, that doesn't sound like much, but minimum wage was about 85 cents an hour, so
Right.
that was great.
Sure.
So here I am in high school. I played baseball for Brooklyn Tech.
What position?
Second base.
That's great. Yeah. Okay. I was a lefty relief pitcher.
Okay. So I had to quit the baseball team
Right.
because these sessions were coming in after school, directly after school, and when I graduated high school, I went directly into submarine service. I left New York and went out to Pearl Harbor. So this is how I get back to New York.
Right.
I just decided to leave after these jobs in Arizona. I came back to New York. I looked up the same people, and the guy said, "Would you like to do some recording sessions?" And yeah, that was exactly why the phone call was made, and I started in again.
What do you remember most about Arizona and your travels at that time? And what was it? Can you put a picture in our minds here? I mean, I moved out here 8 years ago, so I know I'm testing.
No,
I'm stretching the memory.
Absolutely
I'm
not.
stretching.
I'm sorry.
No, you can't. Okay,
It's like 45 years ago, and I just remember it was Arizona.
right. But the point, I guess, going back to the YMCA, things turned around pretty quickly, or do you think you would have bailed? I mean, they got you a gig and then boom, because you seemed. I mean, it was obviously a strange and different time, and maybe the only thing you had with you was your guitar. I mean, did that keep you sane during that?
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah. That was. I had a friend with me all the time with the guitar. Sure, that definitely was. That was the reason I was there. That was the reason I came back. Because I'm going to try and see what I can get going. I studied mechanical engineering in high school, so I had a pretty strong background in engineering and sciences and mathematics and stuff. I wasn't really worried about a career. I just decided, let me see if I can get this thing happening in New York. And I look at these guys, and I started to do recording sessions for them. And at that time, this was like in the early '60s, maybe 60, 63, 64. At that time, there was a whole lot of money being thrown around in the music business. Anybody that was writing a song was in the studio making a demo, and I was one of the guitarists making the demo with them. So I got very busy very fast.
I just want to shift gear. We're talking with Brooklyn-born and Brooklyn-raised, still in Brooklyn, beautiful guitar player, Al Gafa. Al, I wanted to ask you, when was the first time you met Bob Shad?
I have no idea.
Now, is that because was he one of the trailblazers of the scene when you returned to New York in the mid '60s? Who were some of the driving forces who supported this? Was this mainstream music that you were playing? Do you consider that or no?
No, it was doo-wop music. It was something almost completely different than what I had been practicing all my life on. It was very basic music and not much fun to be playing, but it was at least you had your hands on the instrument and you were in the studio playing. Yeah, I don't recall where Bob Shad fit in the picture or not. I must have done some dates for him or something like that, but I really can't.
No, that's fine. It was he did some work with Big Brother and the Holding Company early on in the '60s. And that was more on the West Coast, but then. He produced, just for the record, he produced at least one album that you did with Mickey Roque, not Mickey Roque. Well, Mickey was on the album, but it was Mike Longo, and that was we can get into that a little bit later. How did you, when you first started playing the doo-wop, even though it was a completely different style of music, when you started, even though it was simplistic, did you find yourself laying back and playing more rhythm, and then eventually playing some more lead over time as you got more comfortable as a musician? How do you bring yourself through that?
Well, when you're on these are regular recording sessions. You have a function at the recording session. Somebody lays some music in front of you, and you play the music. If it says to take a solo, you take a solo. If it says to play rhythm, you play rhythm. If it says to play, we used to call them chicks, and they were just little clicks out on the guitar on different beats just to keep the groove going. And so you had a function there. There was no. Okay, now we'll make the guitar solo, and we'll take it up to another level. But it was not like that. You just had a function, and you played music. You played the music that was in front of you.
And I hear those great Brooklyn police officers on the fly over there.
Yeah, that's right.
I miss Brooklyn. Well, I'll be back in the my family still lives in the Long Island area, so I still know the East Coast quite well. But Al, you played with them. The money was good, and it paid the bills. How did you first meet, or what was your start sort of into jazz?
Okay, that's a good question, because it came from the work in the studio situation. There was a club in New York. It was the Playboy Club, and there was a trio working at the Playboy Club: guitar, bass, and piano. And the guitar player was leaving, and they were looking for a guitar player. And a friend of mine that I knew from the recording business recommended me to somebody else, and I went in and played, and I stayed there. And that was really the start of it, and it was a strong. I thought I knew about the guitar, from playing so much and being able to survive. But when I got into this jazz situation, I realized I didn't know anything. I was the piano player was Monty Alexander,
mm-hmm.
and the bass player was Bob Cranshaw. So they used to. They were just phenomenal musicians.
Hold on, I just want to go back. Which guitar player stepped out? Who did you take over for?
Gene Burtoncini.
Gene Burtoncini, and they were playing a steady gig somewhere, or was
yes.
it okay? And
yeah.
and that was at the Playboy Club.
At the Playboy Club,
and with
yeah.
Monty and with Bob Cranshaw.
Bob Cranshaw, yeah.
And no other percussion, just bass, piano,
That's right.
and guitar.
Yeah. There was some trouble with the liquor license there. They were not allowed to have drums in any of the rooms.
Oh, really?
Something.
That's a great kind of trio, though. I love that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Without the bass, without the drums, it's just phenomenal.
Yeah. So the guitar has quite a responsibility. In a trio, there's three guys, and everybody's got a big load. The guitar has the responsibility of not only playing changes, but playing some time too. And it's like the old Nat King Cole trios. You could play a lot of good music without drums.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was the situation there. And so these guys they were just so powerful and so strong that I used to come home and practice the next day to try to figure out what they, what different changes they would use on some standard tunes that I thought were the correct changes. And these guys they could put change upon change upon change, and I was just hanging on for dear life just to get through the night. And so we stayed there with that trio for about a year, and then Monty, his career was taking off, and he left, and at that time the cabaret license had gotten straightened out, so they were allowed to have drums. So the Larry Willis became the piano player. Earl May was the bass player. A drummer by the name of Dick Burke from San Francisco, and me.
You have to be kidding. I mean, Dick and I just talked to him the other day. I had no idea that he was on the East Coast, because I got familiar with Dick because of all his work with Cal Jader on the West Coast.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. So Dick Burke was on drums. The bass player what was his name?
Earl May.
Earl May, Larry Willis, the great piano player, and then Al Gafa on guitar at the Playboy.
That's right.
Oh, man. I need a recording of that. I need recordings immediately of those shows. That must have been blazing.
That's some lost years. I don't think anybody ever recorded us.
Can I tell
Larry Willis did an album. Larry did it. I can't remember if it was Dick Burke or Al Forster on drums. I can't remember. Anyway, when Dick left, Al Forster came in, and the group was it was unbelievable. I mean, you look forward to playing the first note, and you're really mad when the last note was played because you wanted to play. You know, you could play forever with these guys. They were just phenomenal musicians. And we stayed there. I was there about maybe 3 or 4 years, 65 to 68 with that group. And then
I just want to go inside this. This is so great to go inside of this because were you playing an amplified acoustic? Or were you playing electric guitar? Like, or was that was pre-electric? It was all acoustic.
No, this is amplified acoustic guitar.
Amplified acoustic, but Larry was playing acoustic piano.
Yes.
And it was upright bass. I mean, the electric instrument.
No, I'm sorry, it was electric bass, not upright.
Electric bass.
Yeah.
In 60. Okay, so,
yeah.
How would you describe the sound of that music that you were playing at that time?
The kind of music that we played, if you had to categorize it, it might be somewhere between fusion and jazz.
So fusion of jazz and what?
And rock.
It was kind of a jazz rock outfit. Yeah. So, and you were playing. Was it more exploratory stuff? I mean, there was no vocals or anything. It was just pure. How long were the instrumental track? How long would you jam for on one track?
Oh, no, it was not exploratory music. Everything was under control, and we'd play the standards, the American standards, but we'd take choruses on just like everybody else was doing during that time. And
you were singing.
No, I was not singing.
No. You were playing instrumentals of covers.
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
And were you limited in your capacity by the people at the Playboy, or they just got out of your way and said we trust you, you guys just do your thing?
The group was so strong that they were best off not even saying anything, and they didn't. Here's what happened. We're going to go to we're talking to Al Gafa. This is phenomenal. Al, just hang tight. We're going to go to a quick break and come back for another half hour or so. Okay. Okay. Sure.
All right now. Folks, this is Jake Feinberg. Every Friday night I get takeout from Bai Tong Restaurant, which serves Tucson's most authentic Thai cuisine. Pad Thais, fresh vegetables, and spicy Penang curry are my personal favorites, but every meal is sumptuous and cooked to order. Located at 4853 East Speedway Boulevard, Bai Tong serves compelling and affordable lunch specials as well as a full dinner menu. Bai Tong has ingratiated itself with the community by providing a peaceful environment to enjoy a meal with friends and family. Open weekdays for lunch 11 to 3, 5 to 9:30 for dinner Sunday to Thursday, until 10 on Friday and Saturday. So come down to Bai Tong Restaurant at 4853 East Speedway Boulevard to experience a taste of Thailand. When Coffee Times first opened, many wondered how this standalone coffee hut could survive among the beasts of Java lore. But some 10 years later, the answer is a resounding yes. Located at 3401 East Speedway Boulevard, Coffee Times specializes in many different drinks from mocha fraps to lattes to my personal favorite, the Ice Power Coffee. The best part about Coffee Times is their convenient two-way drive-thru, lunch menu, and supreme service. Not to mention their weekly special. The next time you're in the area, head over to Coffee Times on Speedway between Alvernon and Country Club. It will definitely kickstart your day.